Spooky potatoes? The show begins. Welcome to Mercy Hyde Presents.
Spooky little night creatures, welcome back to Mercy Hyde Presents, where we dim the lights, grab the popcorn, and invite the monsters in. Tonight, we're talking about Dracula 2025, a new take on one of horror's oldest and most enduring icons. And let's be honest, Dracula might be the most reimagined character in horror history. Elegant Dracula, monster Dracula, romantic Dracula, terrifying Dracula. There's always another version waiting in the shadows. So tonight, we're going to talk about the tone of this new film, how it compares to classic Dracula adaptations, what works, what doesn't, and whether or not this version of The Count is worth inviting to your home. Because once you invite Dracula in, well, you know how that goes. Before we talk about this film, we need to talk about why Dracula still matters. The character comes from Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, but the cinematic version of Dracula has evolved constantly. Every generation gets its own Dracula. Some of the most iconic versions include the mysterious aristocrat, the animalistic predator, the tragic romantic figure, and the supernatural embodiment of death. Dracula survives because the character represents fear of the unknown, fear of death, and sometimes even fear of desire. He's not just a monster, he's a symbol, and every new Dracula film asks the same question: what kind of monster scares people right now? This version of Dracula leans heavily into gothic atmosphere and visual storytelling. You can feel the film trying to channel classic gothic horror, dark fairy tale imagery, and old world supernatural dread. The movie is drenched in fog, stone castles, candlelight, rain, graveyards, silence, and that's actually one of the film's biggest strengths. It understands something important about Dracula. Dracula stories work best when they feel like legends unfolding in real time, not action movies, not superhero films, or ghost stories. And this version, if you like Hammer horror Draculas and stuff like that, I do believe you would find this film pleasing. Let's talk about the visual atmosphere, because this movie absolutely commits to it. Everything feels cold, isolated, decaying, and haunted. The castle looks ancient, the world feels empty, the characters feel small compared to the darkness around them. That's very Dracula. This film clearly understands that Dracula is not just a character, he is also an environment. The rain, the shadows, the long hallways, the sense that something is always watching. That's where Dracula lives. And honestly, that mood carries large parts of the movie. Even when the story slows down a bit, the atmosphere keeps things interesting. Every Dracula actor has one question: is Dracula seductive or terrifying? This version leans towards mysterious and ancient rather than charming. This Dracula feels less like a man and more like something that's been alive for way too long. That's actually closer to the original novel. There's a stillness to the character, a patience, like he knows time always wins, and when Dracula moves or speaks, it feels deliberate, almost ceremonial. That's a strong interpretation, because Dracula shouldn't feel human, he should feel inevitable. At its core, Dracula's stories are about mortality, corruption, obsession, power, and loneliness. This movie leans into the idea that Dracula is not just hunting people, he's preserving himself. There's always this underlying sadness in Dracula's stories. Imagine living forever, watching centuries pass, losing everything over and over. Immortality sounds powerful, but horror loves asking, what if it's actually a curse? That theme runs quietly through the film. Dracula isn't just a monster, he's trapped by what he is. Things that this movie does really well. The atmosphere, absolutely strong, wouldn't change a thing. The gothic tone, consistent, fantastic, draws you in. The pacing, slow, but intentionally slow. It's not just slow for no reason. It has its purpose, and it works. The visual storytelling was very effective. This is a Dracula movie that trusts silence and mood more than action, and that's refreshing. It feels like a horror film made for people who love classic gothic horror, specifically. And it also reminds me with the silence and mood of the 1930 Dracula with Bela Lugosi. So if you're a fan of the older 30s Universals, the Hammer classics, and Gothic horror genre, this Dracula will be for you. Now, what may not work for everyone? If you're expecting fast pacing, a lot of vampire action, jump scares, and modern horror energy, this might feel very slow. This one is more of a moody horror experience than a thrill ride, and it's definitely going to divide audiences. But honestly, Dracula stories are supposed to feel a little slow, like time itself stretching. So my final thoughts. Is Dracula 2025 worth watching? If you love gothic horror, atmospheric films, classic monster movies, and slow, eerie storytelling that gets under your skin, then absolutely. Dracula survives because the character never stops evolving. Every generation opens the coffin and wonders what's inside, and somehow Dracula always wakes up. I personally love this movie so much that I've watched it so many times. It is so good. It makes me feel so good that the art of gothic horror is coming back. It's something that is much needed in modern day. So please absolutely check it out. Thank you for joining me tonight, my spooky potatoes. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments who is your favorite Dracula. The romantic one, the terrifying one, the mysterious one. Until next time, have a potato, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Thanks for being here. Don't go just yet. Check out the channel. More scares to get. Hit that like, stay weird. Come back again. Mercy Hyde.